Hi Ashlyn. Alright, so here is your past life spread. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you are, what you do with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day, the death, and lesson learned. And we'll get hints of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based on what we're going over here in your current life, and I'll try to help wherever I can too, okay? So let's start, and what's very cool is when we get this card here, this is Atlantis and Lemuria card, those legendary lost cities. So we can put the time card away because this is basically a time period of its own. It's before our own civilization as we know it. And a lot of times we get this card that indicates, a very old soul. So basically what it feels like that we're looking at here is a balance between the two, which could possibly mean that you experienced life in either both places, like a life in Atlantis and a life in Lemuria, and or it's the same life where you traveled between the two because they existed at the same time. So what this can indicate, for example, could be one, that you feel very balanced with your energies as far as masculine and feminine, because Atlantis has more of a masculine aggressive energy and Lemuria is more of a feminine passive energy. One is more, I guess like easy terms, one is more like a city and the other is more like a small community, like that kind of thing. So if you find that you're pulled to various types of environments or circumstances that might be extreme, keep that in mind as well, because that can be a connection. On the other hand, it can also be like I just said with the extreme, you could be someone who has emotions that can go extremely this way and extremely that way. It doesn't necessarily mean bipolar. It just means that you can be like when you're happy, you can be exuberant, and then when you're sad, you can be depressed, that kind of thing. On the other hand, it can mean, again, very balanced, so you can have very balanced energies and you feel the whole spectrum. Like, people wouldn't say, oh, Ashlyn is always super cheery or Ashlyn is always super mopey. Like, they wouldn't say that. They would say, yeah, like, you're pretty balanced across the board. So keep that in mind, and those two things are obviously very different. So what you could be doing is making direct connections based off things that are coming through, like exactly as they are coming through, kind of like more literal. Or you could be making opposite connections, where the things coming through might be the opposite things that you are experiencing in this life, simply because you've already gone through it here. So that's just ways you can be making connections. So keep your mind open in that way so you can make more connections in that way. All right? So I feel like there's something else about this card, something about location in general, as far as like determining where you want to live, either now or in the future. So if there's something going on with you as far as like feeling an itch to move, or an itch to, move states or regions or wherever it is. If that's how you feel, or if that is how you are going to feel soon, if it's coming up, so to speak, so keep your eyes open for that, in the next few years, whatever it is, this would be a message for you to really, very important that you go with your heart as far as the environment that you want to put yourself in, because your environment is going to determine a lot of how you're going to be walking your path, right? So if you want to, let's say, get out of a situation or want to change up the situation, just make sure that you're not placing yourself in the same kind of environment. Or let's say you're in a toxic energy environment, make sure you're not placing yourself in a very similar environment. And you might say, well, of course not. If I want to get out of something, I wouldn't go to the same thing. But it's very human to do something that's really comfortable. So let's say you do enjoy being very sociable around people a lot in, let's say, the Atlantis version, the city kind of thing. And let's say it's not working out and you need a change and you feel like you need a change. It would be comfortable for you to find somewhere that is like that, but not like that. So it's not in the same place, but it's the same kind of environment. Just make sure that that isn't going to lead you right back into the same kind of toxic situation. That's what I'm talking about. And this is a concept that's not just about moving like geographically. This is also about situations itself. I feel like it's coming through with that message, is just make sure if you're going to get yourself out of one situation that might not be very happy for you, and it doesn't even have to be like abuse or anything, it's just simply like if you're, let's say you're like working towards a degree and you're just miserable, make sure you don't put yourself or jump into another program that's gonna, you know, like without looking into it and feeling it out with your like intuition to make sure it doesn't end up in the same like energetic place for you. Just because you want to get out of something, don't just rush into something else. Make sure you feel it out. Basically that kind of thing. Just make sure you're not moving, like getting out of a situation just to find yourself right back in the same situation, just with different people. So you have control over that, and I feel like that's what's coming through from that card. Keep making connections where you can. So this card of what you do with the majority of your time here, this is the Take Care of Me card, and I feel like we're looking at a life here where there's something about it that is kind of passive, and it's almost like, I feel like we're looking at a female, actually, and I feel like it's passive in the way of how we would see kind of like a housewife or a homemaker, or, you know, and I don't know how it was back then with these people, but it feels like that. It feels like very much in the sense of taking care of me. It just feels like a very easy life. I'm trying to see what's going on here. I'm trying to see if it is a family kind of situation where you are like a wife, or what it's feeling like is it's showing me a well taken care of daughter for a long time, and it feels like just a growing up and kind of transferring being taken care of as a daughter to maybe like a wife, or basically it just feels like being given everything. And so in the sense, how you can be connecting to it is, one, in this current life, did you come back and choose a family that would nurture you and take care of you and make sure you did have everything you needed? See, that's a direct connection you could be making, is you wanted to continue on with that nurturing family kind of thing, so you came in choosing that. Or what it can also indicate is that you came back and you chose to disrupt that kind of pattern to experience something else. So it could be that you actually came in and chose parents that where one might be neglectful, or they might make you work for everything, or make you have a job at a very young age to save up for college. Are you someone that works for everything that you have? That kind of thing, you see. So you could be making direct connections or indirect or opposite connections. Easy for me to say. Also, this can indicate something about your emotional like interior state, as far as how you feel about people being given the easy road. So this can also indicate that, let's say, again, direct or opposite, you could either, one, empathize with people who are given, you know, the easy road, given everything, being able to see, hey, this is their journey, this is their life, this is their lesson. On the other hand, if you have any triggers, it could be that you are triggered by people who seem not to really have to work for anything. That might be something that you've always noticed about people, where it, again, a trigger isn't a deep emotional kind of thing, where it's not just like, oh, that's kind of annoying. It's more like, it kind of like just like reverberates in your soul, where you're just like, it makes you like oh, like angsty, like how can they, you know, how can they be living this way and I have to do this, or da da da. It's not necessarily jealousy, but you might find that that might be one of the big comparisons that you make in your life, either, you know, when you were younger or now, that you're finding or have found that that's something that you're constantly comparing. Like, so for example, like how a lot of women will compare their image with other images. Oh, I wish I was as thin as her. Oh, I wish I had her hair, like that kind of thing. Your thing might be, oh, I wish I had it as easy as they did, or I wish that I was, I had a parents that did that for me like that person did, like that kind of thing. And if not, that's fine. Just keep making connections wherever you can, as far as the Take Care of Me card, okay? There is also like a daughter thing to this. So if you find that there's something about your daughter-father relationship or daughter-mother relationship, I feel like I'm like, if I wanted to lean somewhere, I would lean I don't know. I feel like there's something with both of the parents, quite frankly. At first I was like, maybe there is a father-daughter thing going on, but there could be a mother issue too, as far as like having a mother where the comparison is coming through for that possibly. It could also be a sibling, but just look and assess your own situation, obviously, when it comes to being a daughter. What has that role done for you in your life? Has it been a challenge? If it's been a challenge, the best thing you can do is look at the lessons that you've learned from it. Have you learned independence? Have you learned patience? Have you learned how to get through things? Certain things that you learn, they're gold. That's the gem. So you will always want to look for the lessons that you've learned during hardships or challenges, whether it's a challenging relationship or situation or that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. And again, if you have very nurturing parents, it would be a continuation of what we're looking at here. So let's go to the important day. The first important day is the so long, farewell until we meet again card. And this card usually indicates that somebody is leaving. It could be you, it could be someone you know. Here is a karmic card, and that indicates the relationship that we're looking at, which is someone that's come in and out of your lifetimes. Like, just that it might be a husband in one life, it could be a brother in another life, it could be a mother in another life, it could be your best friend. Just people where it's usually there's a strong connection and you learn a lesson from them, and it's not always a good thing. It's not a good thing. Lessons are great. It's not always a positive relationship or feels positive. And because again, the lesson is positive, but it might, again, I guess what I'm saying is like, it might not feel like a best friend. It might be actually someone that you consider an enemy, but we have to start looking at everybody as a teacher, because when you start looking at everybody as a teacher and the lessons that can be learned from every relationship, even an abusive boyfriend, there's lessons in that. You learn what not to go towards, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. As soon as you start looking at everyone in this way, then you start to drop feelings that keep you in lower vibrations, such as like grudge, resentment, bitterness. You start to drop that and goes away because you see that it's pointless. Because if everybody's our teacher, then that means that they serve us in some way, that they're a boon to us, even if they've put us through hell. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as you start looking at people in this way, that is you taking a step up, raising your vibration, seeing from a higher mindset, which is the goal here. That's what we call spiritual journey, is leveling up in that way and seeing things from a higher, different perspective. So keep that in mind. The feelings here is the positive and negative card. It's a dual card because it can mean a couple of things. It can mean either positive feelings, negative feelings, or it can mean both. It can mean like you're torn, you don't really know what to feel. So I'm trying to see what is going on here, because I feel like what we're looking at here is something having to do with, like, I want to say this is years later. I feel like you're with a partner, and I feel like it's almost like a business trip kind of thing. So this so long farewell thing, it almost has a feeling like you don't see this as being like a forever. It doesn't feel like forever. And then it turns out to be forever, because I feel like something happens along the way that either gets like, okay, so it's like, let's just say husband, because I don't know how they were in union back then. I don't know what they called them, so to speak, like, you know, in these times. But let's say husband, and let's say he went away for business. And when he went away, it feels like almost like you got word from someone that he died, or something happened where he just died. But it actually feels like what happens is he found something else. It's almost like he found the life that he didn't know he wanted, and so he left. And he made it seem like he faked his death in a weird way. That's what I feel like is coming through, is that this person faked their death in order to go live on with their life that they wanted, and left you there to kind of fend for yourself. And this is a really big time or day for you, because this is the first time that you've been, I want to say, not neglected, but like it's the first time you have been that you haven't been the primary thing in someone's eye. Like, again, your parents, super nurturing. It feels like you're an only child. So it feels like you have that only child feel going on as far as when you grow up. And it's almost like this kind of thing you would never have expected to happen, because who would do that to you? Because you're everything, you're special and you're the only child. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So it's like you have to like fend for yourself for the first time. And I say that too, these feelings are coming out as far as like these weird torn feelings, because I feel like there is a part of you that doesn't believe that he died. I feel like there is actually a part of you that knows, like that intuitive part of you that knows that he left. Almost like maybe little signs were there all along that he wasn't happy, or little signs that he wanted to either leave or go somewhere else or whatever it was, and you just didn't notice them. And so it feels like it's hard because you have to come to resolution on your own, and that's a really hard thing to do. It's almost easier if he died, because then a body would come back and you can bury the body and you can have a resolution, and you know what I mean? So there's something coming through this message as far as finding your own resolution to situations, whether it's boyfriend that has left you, or husband that's left you, or anyone that has left you, or a friendship that has broken down and you really can't quite maybe understand why. Basically, this is speaking to relationships in your life where things did not work out according to what you felt should have happened. I mean, it could be a dropped engagement or whatever it is. And this is coming up to speak to you for the message of, again, looking for the lesson in it, but also making sure that you look back on your life and give yourself credit just for getting through things. And also to always know that you have all the tools you need to have that resolution. You don't need resolution from another person. Just like you don't need permission from other people to live your life. It feels like that sometimes, especially when we get in serious relationships, or, we grow up with parents that are very authoritative or whatever it is. We, especially women, feel like they need permission. And that's not the case. And so too, you don't need other people in order to find resolution, because you're able to find that within yourself. If you can't find resolution in yourself, it's because you've placed a part of yourself outside of yourself. And so you're looking for external gratification that'll help you solve a problem, and that can't be, because that means that you're not complete. So you need to make sure that you are finding everything that you need in yourself. And it's not about finding it, it's about getting to a place where you have all of the parts and you don't need to place anything outside of yourself. Why would you do that? That's like you're a complete puzzle, and then you take a piece out and you're like, here, have a piece of my puzzle, and here's that, and you give away your power in that way. And I feel like it's very important, what's coming through is that you are aware about this, and you're aware that and being aware makes it so that you're more cognizant about keeping your power and keeping yourself empowered and knowing that you have everything that you need. And this is also coming through for the idea of what you want to do for your life, as far as are you in a job that you like? And if you are, that's great. But do you want to take on a project? Maybe you want to do something by yourself. Maybe you want to initiate something in your life. Maybe there's something that you've been considering, or maybe you feel like there should be something that you should be considering as far as building something for yourself, creating something for yourself. And that goes hand in hand with this, knowing that you have all the tools and all the parts in order to be a creator. You already are a creator. You just have to get back into that mindset that you have everything that you need. So just start building, if that makes sense. And also that goes to start rebuilding as far as finding resolution when it comes to relationships or situations that have not turned out accordingly, and maybe you feel a little lost either in the past or now or coming up. Remember, no matter what, you have all the parts. You can find your own resolution. Don't make it so that you require external entities, people, beings, whatever, in order to get that resolution. Because as soon as you believe that you need someone else for that, whether it's permission or resolution, then that's how it's going to be, because you believe it. So you have to kind of reclaim and reprogram your beliefs to realize that you have everything you need. So keep that in mind. And usually this card comes up because as I'm speaking, there might be someone that comes into your mind when it comes to this. And if somebody does come into your mind when we're talking about finding resolution on your own from a relationship, then that's the person that we're talking about here. The people come back into your life. And again, it is golden if you can see people that have caused you pain as teachers, as people that you learn lessons from. So those the pain, those are growing pains. Oh, just see the pain as growing pains and see it as a beautiful lesson learned, and learn to let go of it. As soon as you learn to let go of it, you level up. And that's what we see here, is we see a leveling up, and it takes a while for this person because it is so new to them that things are not going according to their plan, especially when it comes to other people, because it's almost like they're used to kind of being waited on hand and foot in a sense. So we see a leveling up, but it does take a while for this person to process. But you gotta know, the reason we go into these past lives and we bring up certain things is because what we've gone through already, you already have in you today, which means that knowing about what happened to you or your aspect here now means you can tap into the strength that she gained when it came to finding resolution in relationships, merely tapping in. And when I say tap in, it's just being aware and acknowledging that you have that already built into your soul memory. And so you can get through anything because she got through it. You know what I mean? It's also something that comes through where you don't have to fear anything happening like this again, in a sense, because again, she got through it, you can get through it. You can get through anything just fine. Just remember all the things we talked about and keep making connections where you can. You can also make little connections as far as like, this might indicate that if you are in a relationship, that you might be someone that gets jealous if they go somewhere with friends or go somewhere alone, or you might get, what's the word? Not curious, where you get suspicious. There you go. Wow, I can speak today. Okay, where you might get suspicious of someone if they do something maybe out of the norm, or they go somewhere, whatever it is, like the similar situation. If you find that you do have little emotions come through like that, it's not something to be ashamed of or anything, because we're human, but just know it could be a lingering thing from what happened here. So keep making connections where you can, okay? Next important day here. So here's the graduation card. Doesn't always mean school. In this case, it's meaning a graduation from what happened before, an internal graduation, a leveling up, a moving up the spiritual journey, understanding yourself more, becoming more aware of yourself, becoming wiser. That's what we're seeing here, is a growth in wisdom. So you're graduating mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And the relationships involved here is family, and what it feels like very much coming through is that you were able to let go, move on, and begin anew, and started a family with somebody. Here, no children. Here, children. This is the held back card, and it's not that your family here made you feel held back, it's that you realized how held back you felt with this person, and how different it felt once you committed to this new family. Once you were at an age and at a mindset when you were more settled within yourself, more aware of who you were and what you wanted, and it was past the age, again, that you would expect, or anyone here would expect someone to be in union or get into a union with. It almost feels like it's 10 years later. So let's say you were, again, I don't know how the ages work back, there's all kinds of theories, but let's just say this person they're showing me looked like she was like 21. This person here looks like she's 35 at least. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And it doesn't mean that you have to wait till you're 35 if you're not 35 yet. As far as, being happy, it just means it's showing you kind of age doesn't matter, like at all. Age is just something we learn matters from society, but age doesn't matter. Things happen when they happen. I mean, people have children at 50, it is what it is. And you realize that it's the kind of thing that you only really understand in hindsight, or basically when we're discussing it here, because you understand the concept of hindsight in general. It's the kind of thing that this woman, now that she's older and she has a family, it's almost like there's about, I would say, either one or two children involved, possibly more, but it's a full family, and there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of balance and compassion, understanding. This is a very balanced family unit, and she's feeling things that she knows she would never have felt if she was in this union still, because of how unbalanced it was between them. It's almost like how we see a lot of people get married at such a young age because, one, maybe like lust, passion kind of thing. Two, because society says, oh, once you hit 25, you should have this big old wedding and and you should have kids before you're 30 and like all these rules. She's realizing that, this union with all of these rules, like following all the rules of society, it doesn't even hold a candle to this union that she made and she chose of her own volition, basically, at a time when she felt very settled in herself, meeting someone who was very settled with himself, coming together and, forming this union. And so, not just the union, but the family unit. At a time when she was prepared. So I feel like that's coming through. Make connections where you can, but there's a lot of little gems in here as far as don't feel like you should be somewhere in life just because you reach a certain age. You gotta let go of that. When you let go of that, you don't even realize how huge of a burden that is. Like, it's a huge burden. And when you let go of that, then it's almost like how they say the world is your oyster. It really becomes that way because you're not like trying to live up to anything or match certain things or compare yourself to what should be. Let go. And as soon as you let go of that, what you're doing is you're letting go of control. And when you let go of that kind of control, that's when things start coming into your life. That's when the real good stuff starts getting attracted to that energy where you're not putting out a controlling vibe anymore. So when you let go of the control over your own life in that way, you're going to see a lot of things being drawn to you that you might not even have realized that you wanted, and they're better than you ever imagined. That kind of thing you really want to do. The family card can indicate to you that if you're not ready to have a family, let's say you don't have like kids or anything like that, again, don't be pressured into having children. Don't be pressured into getting married. Don't be pressured into anything that you don't feel is right for you. Okay? And you got to realize, again, deprogram yourself from society and realize what the things that you desire. Are they coming from your soul, or are they coming from being, taught that, from being raised in the society you were raised in? It's very important that you understand that. It's important everyone understands that. And realize that if you don't do that, then there will come a time, eventually it will catch up with you and you will feel held back. Because let's say you do have kids before you want them. There's going to come a time when your soul is going to want to go somewhere, maybe explore, go on a trip, travel, do something, take a job somewhere, and you're going to have those kids and you might be anchored down somewhere and you're going to feel held back. That kind of thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I'm saying, and if you do have children, that's great. That doesn't mean no, don't have kids. It's just an example showing you that make sure that you're following your path and your desire and not living someone else's life. Just make sure you're not doing that. It's actually a really big deal. And if you find that you are doing something that doesn't align with your excitement, passion, what you want, then maybe learn to say no. And let's say it's a job though and you need to pay the bills, right? If you're miserable and you're not happy with the job, start to look around and be open-minded and see what comes across your radar and just put it out there that, hey, I'm open to changing jobs. And see what comes across your radar that might like trigger you. It might be a completely different industry or field, but that's okay. It might be scary to change, but it will be for the best. You will be happy in the end, even if it's scary at first. Facing your fears in that way, you get rewarded big time. And I can attest to that from experience. When you leave something that is very comfortable and familiar because you're unhappy and kind of go into foreign territory because it just simply excites you and you're open to it, even if it's scary, it will end up amazing. So just keep that in mind if that speaks to you in any way, and keep making connections with this where you can. Also the connection of graduating, of internal graduation, of wisdom, of accumulating. This comes with awareness of yourself. The more aware of what you want in life, the more aware of your thought patterns and how you think of certain things and how you react to certain things and what you find yourself judging. The more you're aware of how you work, that makes it easier for you to let go of things, to reprogram yourself, to reprogram beliefs or whatever it is that will, it's all working towards wisdom, towards your path, towards soul growth, really. So keep on doing that. Keep on trying to become aware of yourself in different ways. And it's hard really to articulate what that means because there are so many like perspectives and ways, I guess, that you can be aware of different things about yourself, but it has to start with one step. Like, you have to take one step where you have kind of like an aha moment, or a little switch gets turned on and you realize something about yourself, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a really cool feeling, and it's kind of addictive, and I would definitely say go with it and keep doing it as much as you can. It's also kind of the thing where they say like meditation helps, because when you meditate, you're able to put thoughts away or be aware of your thoughts, or even being aware of your breath and how you breathe, like just different ways of being aware of who you are. And the more you do that, the more open you'll become about your awareness of like why you're here, your purpose, like things like that. So keep making connections where you can there, okay? Now, this here is the death card, and this is the natural death, and usually this just means like you died like easy peasy kind of in your sleep. And it does feel like we're looking at someone who grew up, old age, definitely grandchildren involved, grandmother energy, something very maternal about this energy. So actually, if you find that you are maternal, whether you have kids or not, there is a maternal energy in you if you ever want to tap into that. At the same time, you might have come back in this life to not experience being maternal because this was so maternal. So keep that in mind. But there was a death in the sleep, and I feel like this is coming through as kind of a little message of, hey, don't worry, everything will be just fine. Not necessarily having to do with death per se, but just situations in general, showing you a natural easy peasy death, kind of like, hey, just go with the flow, everything will be fine, trust your instincts, follow your excitement, follow your path, make sure it's yours, and it'll just be fine. Like, here's a little river, it'll just flow, alright? So what's nice here is the lesson. This lesson is the work hard card. Now what we see here is someone who didn't work very hard in the way that we think of work. So what it feels like is we're looking at someone who had to work hard emotionally to process things and get through things, like down here, what happened here. There was a lot of internal work that was done and accomplished, by the way. So this person did grow and evolve spiritually and emotionally out of the daughter role and into a grown woman role, a grown person picking and choosing their family, you know, who they want. Because it feels too like this marriage was done because of the parents and what the parents kind of told her to do or wanted her to do. And then this marriage was done based on, again, her choice. So I feel like this card is just coming up as a message for you that you already have done a lot of work and you don't even realize how much work you've done. And it's really important that you do pat yourself on the back and give yourself credit for all of the work that you have done. There's a lot of suffering in the world. It's easy to compare yourself to other people. Like, you know, it might be like, you might have like emotional hardship, and then you look at people suffering who are starving, and then it's easy to say like, oh, well, I haven't really done anything with my life. Those people are struggling every day. You know, what's a little hardship on my end when they're like out there dying? And I feel like that's coming through as a message for you to stop comparing yourself right now. Like, stop comparing in that way. It might feel like you're being humble, and it might feel like you're being kind of like, you know, caring about others in that sense, if that makes sense. But it's only hurting you because you're not giving yourself credit where it's due, and you're not recognizing the growth that you're going through. Remember, you chose the life you chose for a reason. It wasn't just to sit there and not like see what you've learned. And especially women, like, we're taught to be like modest and humble and stuff with certain things, as far as like not, you know, not like being proud of ourselves for what we've gone through. And I feel like this is coming through for you to learn to be proud of yourself. It's not boasting, it's just learning to like really see what you really have accomplished, not in the means of what they say accomplishment is. Again, redefine accomplishment. It's not about achieving degrees, it's not about getting, you know, certificates on the wall, trophies. This is about like internal, like, how much are you learning about yourself? How much are you allowing yourself to know yourself? How much permission are you giving yourself to grow and to find out more of what brings you joy and what makes you tick? And again, it's with that whole like growing of awareness of the self. That is hard work. Give yourself credit where it's due, and also to continue with that work. And this can also indicate, as far as like working hard in your current life, you might be someone that is driven to do things and make your own money and, work for yourself, whatever it is, because this person pretty much didn't have to like get a job in a sense. So this could indicate, the whole like, career and working hard for what you want, but it also would indicate in that sense to be proud of yourself for working, to give yourself credit for being a worker and not being taken care of, whatever that might be. Even if you are taken care of by a partner or whatever it is, you're still a creator. You're still doing things every day. You're providing comfort to friends. You're providing emotional stability to people you might not even be aware of. So this is really a card of not just a card, this is a reading of really being aware of everything you are, everything you bring to the world and to the people around you, to really see the value in yourself. That's really important. You start to see the value, because when you start to see the value, that's the only way the value is going to increase. You got to set a bottom line somewhere, so see what you're worth, and you're worth a lot. So please keep that in mind. And anyway, there is your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.